Another pillar policy of the PNG party is integrated human development. Party leader Belden Namah continues.
You need to build men to build a country. There's no other formula. You need to build men to build a country. And I'm just going to make a link there. You see, when you allocate 1/10 to the churches, and then you come to integral human development, Christians believe in the 10 Commandments. And 10 Commandments comes in two parts. The first 4 is our love to God. And we are demonstrating that by God-first policy. And our love to fellow men is through this integral human development. And you look at the family unit, husband, wife, and kids. What do they need? First, you need, they need to have access to basic health and basic education. And when they have access to this, they need to have access to power, electricity. They need to have access to good, clean drinking water. And what are you trying to do here? What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to develop men to be able to build a nation. And you do this to be able to develop a healthy, educated population.
Okay.
That's the whole idea.
All right.
Without healthy, educated population, you cannot develop a country. You cannot have a sick population.
No. But a country and a healthy population must come with a country that is better with its economy.
Absolutely.
How about the economy? With the policy, the PNG party's policy on economic recovery?
Well, you see, with the economic recovery, and let me just go back a bit. When Sumari left us, the late Grand Chief, when he was a prime minister, he left us with a debt of about 8.6 billion. Okay, O'Neill brought it to about 26 billion. This government, under the Pangu Party leadership, under James Marape, they have borrowed more than 27 billion, bringing our debt up to 53 billion. One must have an answer as to our economic recovery package. See, for me, God gave me the opportunity to be the prime minister. I'm not going to be like other governments where we continue to have this blame game. There's no such thing as that. You cannot blame successive government. You grab the bull by the horn. You pick up from where it is and you run with it as a prime minister. Forget about blame game. You have been given the opportunity. You must come up with answers as to how you see your country in the next 5 to 10 years to 30 years, yes, and not live on blame game. So how do I see it as leader of Papua New Guinea Party? Well, I have 12 key policy pillars. One, of course, already we talked about now is God-first policy. We give back 1/10 to God from our national budget. Then we come to integral human development. Then we're talking about resource sector interventions. I want to just dwell a little bit on the resource sector later. And then we have the health sector reforms. We want to make sure that we reform the health sector, the education sector reforms, and of course the agricultural sector reforms. I will talk about the resource sector reforms and the agriculture sector reforms because that's where I see we can springboard our economy.
Yeah. Well, that's where the people are as well.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's the resource sector, as in extractive industry, and also the renewables sector where the agriculture comes in. And then I have, the other sectors like the law and justice sector reforms and the foreign policy reforms in our country. And of course, my last and the favorite one is the zero tolerance on corruption. So I have 12 key policy pillars there, and which I want to name them all, but for now, for this purpose, basically I have 4 intervention policies. One is, of course, the God-first policy, which I am going to do. Second is the integral human development. And third is the resource sector reforms. And then the agriculture sector reforms. Let me just touch on the resource sector. Sorry.
You touch on corruption, and I think maybe we need to talk a bit more on that.
Yes.
The others are policies that other parties are also talking about and are also in their own way, maybe using different languages, but we're saying the same thing. And of course, the PNG party has its right to develop it and promote it and get the message across to the people as it sees right. I want to touch on corruption here.
I want to just say this. The resource sector reforms that I'm going to introduce, it will be something totally different from any other political party.
Okay.
But if you want, we can come back on it later.
Yeah, all right. But let me touch on corruption. I think that's an issue that the world looks at us as a country, as a corrupt country. And that is not me saying it or you saying it or anybody saying it. It is, the indicators point to that. The PNG parties, what will you be doing other than what's been done to tackle corruption?
Well, I'd like to borrow the words from my founding father, late Mekere Morauta. And we still pursue those stands that were taken by our founding father, late Mekere Morauta, on the systemic and systematic corruption. And it's predominant everywhere in every institution of state. You want to get a check out of finance or national planning. You got to bribe everyone from small secretary to probably the secretary and maybe the minister for that matter. Someone wants to get a claim for outstanding bills.
Are you saying ministers are corrupt?
I'm not saying ministers are corrupt.
But if they're going to accept a bribe?
If they're going to accept a bribe, of course. And we have, someone wants to get a claim, you have to look after certain individuals and even politicians. And this is where I come in. PNG party believes that if there are any outstanding claim that need to be paid, if there are checks that need to be paid in terms of DSIP or PSIP, or even from the development fund to fund a particular road project or to fund a particular hospital, instead of us going there to finance and planning and waiting for checks to be printed, we are living in a world where, in a digital world. Yeah. Why don't we introduce, e-government? PNG party believes in introducing e-government.
E-government.
I tell you, Mr. Eggins and the rest of the country, I hate it when members of parliament line up in either B3 conference room or B1 conference room to collect checks. That's not our responsibility. We were not mandated to pick up checks for our DSIP or PSIP. Okay,
let's talk about that. But leaders made laws to pay themselves that money, and you were part of that leadership that made laws to give members themselves money. Nowhere else, in England, in Australia, in New Zealand, elsewhere, members of parliament have cash money to go to their electorates and hand out big money. Today we're talking about 10 million kina. It's a lot of money.
Well, I would not say we made laws to pay ourselves money. I would put it this way. We made laws to have this 10 million for district support improvement program funds, not for members of parliament. And this is where I do not like it, when members lined up to collect checks. And governments after governments have been using this as a bait to pass certain legislations on the floor of parliament. They tell members of parliament, you go and pass the law that we are going to introduce without them being aware of what legislation they are passing.
Yes.
And because the money is waiting for them, 2 or 3 million, for them to be collected, they just go blindly and go and pass very important legislations on the floor of parliament without having to know the implications of that particular law. So what I'm basically trying to say is that money is not for us. No. But members of parliament treat it that way. So you are not wrong at the end of the day.
Yes.
You are not wrong. Members of parliament treat it that way. When it comes to my time to when they say there's a check for Vanimo Green River District, I don't go and collect it. Because that's
it's supposed to go to the bureaucracy and the system that we've inherited.
Exactly.
The Westminster system
Westminster.
takes care. It works in England. It
That's
works in
right.
Australia.
Yes.
And we wanted it to work here. How did we change it? Why did we change it?
Exactly. That's why PNG Party believes that we will legislate it and we will introduce e-government. As soon as the DSIP is ready, it's wired straight to the districts. As soon as the PSIP is ready, it's wired straight to the provincial treasury operating account, not to be collected by members of parliament. Since when did that money become the members' money?
Okay.
It's a public money approved by law through the normal budgetary process. But then governments also, sometimes they deny the opposition from getting DSIP. And I've been a victim with Dr. Alan Marad and with Honorable Joseph Lelang when there were three of us in the opposition. We've become victims.
You didn't get your DSIPs, PSIP?
We do get it, but sometimes it's delayed. Or most of the time,
Is that
the rest of the government
deliberate?
MPs get 10 million. We only end up about getting 6, 7 million.
Okay.
And I'm going to be quite frank about it. Okay. And this is wrong. When we talk about fair and equal distribution of wealth, it doesn't matter which side of the House member sits. The member only represents his people, and these people are Papua New Guineans. So the wealth of the nation must be distributed fairly, irrespective of where the member sits.
Okay. Accountability of that money, of the 10 million. Yeah, sure. The language is good. It's going out there to the rural areas for development here and there. Are we accounting for that? I mean, it's a lot of money. The PSIP, the DSIPs. It amounts about 3 or 4 billion kina of the budget. That's a lot of money. Are we accounting for it?
Well, a very, very good question. I'll speak for myself. When this money hits the account in Vanimo Green River District, I have my 5-year working plan. Okay, and I ensure that these monies go straight into developing my district, building hospitals, building schools. And Vanimo Green has been, has not, since 2007 when I first came in, 4 of my districts were never connected, or LLGs were never connected. Not districts, but sub-districts. Pewani, Imonda, Amanap, and Green River. Mm-hmm. But since I came in, and then DSIP, there's a good thing about DSIP. It depends on the member of parliament.
That's right. And how they use it.
And how they use it. For me, everything is done through the District Development Authority Board resolution. If it's not captured in the resolution, the money is not expended.
Okay.
So we do it properly. I see where my priorities are. And for me, before I became member of parliament, there was no road connectivity throughout my district. So I made it my business to ensure that I connect the people to the provincial headquarters and the district headquarters, which is Vanimo Town. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I've done that successfully in my first term of parliament, from 2007 to 2012. Now you go to Vanimo Green River District. Bewani is connected with Imonda. Imonda is connected with Amanap. Amanap is connected with Green River. So all my roads are connected.
Right.
And then we are complemented with the logging companies on the ground. And sometimes we do not have enough money to be able to give contracts to private contractors. So I utilize logging equipments, the machinery that's on the ground. And I try to work on a public-private partnership. And the logging companies, they have been very friendly. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if I want to build a road from when I wanted to build a road, when I wanted to build a road from Amanap to Green, I had to give money to the logging company. And it's not done for free. Logging companies don't build roads to areas where they don't want to harvest the logs.
Okay.
So I give them 2 million every year, every section of the road, to ensure that I reach my LLGs. And I can confidently say that Vanimo Green River roads is some of the best roads in the country.